along ethnic and religious lines. It is clear, with the various security challenges in all parts of the country, that the government of President Muhammad Buhari has failed woefully in its constitutional responsibility of protecting lives and property of citizens as enshrined in Section 14 of the nation's constitution. Killings by operatives of the disbanded SARS did not start now, but the government failed to address the issues until now, when the people of Nigeria took their destinies in their hands. Those killer SARS men are still walking the streets free, and the Inspector General of Police says they are going to be redeployed to other units of the police force when they may likely continue their nefarious activities and even influence others to join them. They need to be arrested and prosecuted while their victims get justice and compensation. The opposition coalition CUPP calls for the total cleansing of the system that created SARS, or else something worse than the squad will be introduced. For students of history, this is of course not the first time SARS was dissolved, suspended, disbanded, or renamed. The dreaded squad appears to have 9 lives. It keeps coming back. We therefore call on well-meaning Nigerians, especially the protesters, not to be satisfied with the tokenism in the name of disbanding SARS. Let those who fail to secure the lives and property of our people, despite huge budgetary allocation to security every year, be made to account for their sins. Till date, bandits, insurgents, kidnappers, and armed herdsmen, among others, are still wasting lives of innocent Nigerians, with the government folding its hands and doing nothing. For failing to protect lives and property, President Buhari, who is Commander-in-Chief, his service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police have failed Nigerians. That is the simple truth. And they must therefore step aside to pave way for genuine police reform and fresh beginning. Those who were sleeping while some officers of SARS, under their control, killed innocent citizens, cannot reform a system that went rogue under their own eyes. As we call for an end to SARS, an immediate and total reformation of the police force, there must be call for end to incompetent leaders that produces and gives environment for the kind of SARS we have today. End to corruption. End to parliamentary hallelujah boys. We must end all this now, or they will end the nation soon. For patriots who have woken up the resilient spirit and true power of the leaders of tomorrow, the opposition coalition CPP knows that you have activated the struggle towards taking back your country. You are true patriots. Let us not cover incompetence and conspiracy. The president, the Inspector General of Police, the service chief, the lawmakers, etc., they knew about the brutality of SARS and other security agencies and kept quiet. Just like they were keeping quiet with the murderous gang and bandits killing and raping citizens we join across all parts of the country. Let us not be deceived by the government's fake show of solidarity to innocent Nigerians that have been killed and brutalized by security forces while our public officers watch. One thing a human dared not to do was to ask such person a question when talked to. One refrain of such men was, "I will waste your life and nothing will happen." And some videos have shown them actually spraying citizens with bullets in broad daylight and wasting their lives simply because they questioned them during arrest. Footballers, students, upcoming musicians have been victims of such summary execution in broad daylight. SARS operatives wore no police uniform to make them easy to identify. They never came with an arrest warrant. Anybody that they called a robber or kidnapper was guilty as charged. If a landlord had a problem with his tenant, he could report them to SARS. If someone could not get a debt paid, they could report them to SARS. If a girl fell out with her boyfriend, she would report him to SARS. Surprisingly, one would think that SARS would tell such people that such did not fall under their purview. No, SARS would arrest the person and start torturing an execution. They were always at the beck and call of any Nigerian who had the money to teach another Nigerian a lesson. Before our eyes, a so-called special anti-robbery squad was turned into a gang of merchants of horror. And even though the citizens complained over the years, all fell on deaf ear. What is difficult to understand is how the Inspector General of Police, as well as the President of Nigeria, could have had and seen videos of the summary execution and torture SARS operative meted out to citizens for years, but they did not take appropriate measures to end such reign of terror all this while. As always, the life of Nigerians never mattered to the leaders. The opposition coalition CUPP, which will urge that protesters do not go back to sleep until you have achieved a sustainable result that will wake up the dreams of our nation's founding fathers and put the country back on the path towards being a country where respect for human rights, justice, equity, and competence is celebrated, promoted, and defended. Total and immediate reform of the police force and end to brutality by security forces are not negotiable. It does not matter how many days it takes you to achieve that. And we wish to state once more, those who kept quiet while SARS people were killing, maiming, and destroying people, those who kept quiet were bandits, were raping and destroying from Zamfara to Southern Kaduna, cannot offer you reform. What we are doing since the last 6 years, they are the problem. There is what is called leadership responsibility, and somebody must accept that he has failed. The president and the Inspector General of Police and the security forces has failed, and the protesters must get this agenda right to insist that those who could not protect them, those who kept quiet when the SARS people were killing them, should immediately step aside. We say to you that the power to fix your tomorrow is in your hands. Nobody can do it. Even organizations like the Trade Union Congress and the Nigerian Labour Congress that once defended the interests of the masses have now sold the struggle and now dined and wine with the enemy. At a time, they kept silent while fuel and electricity tariffs were increased arrogantly and citizens killed by the government elected to protect them. Great young men and women have formed a powerful movement greater than the sleeping level to salvage our nation. Know today that you have all started something that will change the course of history. Remember, we are on our own now. We have power to forge our destiny going forward from here. We do not demand an end to the brutality of the security. If we do not demand an end to the brutality of the security forces, and brutality being visited on our lives, economy, unity, etc., by a few outlaws and political hallelujah boys, nobody can do it. The SARS in all aspects of our nation's life must end now. Like we do say here, if you are sleeping, wake up. If you are eating, stop. If you are sitting on the fence, come down. If you are laughing, stop. And join our brothers and sisters to end the political and security SARS-like character behind corruption, looting, killing of innocent citizens, bandits, and murderous elements across the country, and promoters of ethnic hate, division, electoral banditry, and poverty. Total end to brutality by security forces, police reform, and end to corrupt and incompetent leadership is not negotiable, and the protesters must not shift ground on any one of these. Let the people's protest. The opposition coalition is telling the Nigerian people, especially the young men who are driving this process, and our mothers who are with them, let the people's protest continue till government concedes to total police reform and immediate end to brutality by security forces and incompetent and corrupt government officials. The time to act is now. And let's say it once again. President Muhammad Buhari and his service chiefs must step aside for failing to secure you and checkmate brutality of security forces. Thank you all.